Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 27. How you doing today? How was your week? Hope it's been good. Well, this week is gonna be a bit different. If you listened to GutPunched before, you might remember that I live in Southwest Florida. And this is hurricane season. We're experiencing some effects from Hurricane Helene. But for us in Southwest Florida, the storms travel through the middle of the Gulf and will make landfall in northern Florida. And I hope they were prepared. We are very fortunate at this time with this storm. It's expected to become a Cat 4 when it makes landfall later. Now, a few years back, around the same time, Southwest Florida was devastated by Hurricane Ian, and there's still a lot that must be rebuilt after 2 years. Each storm that forms still gives concern to our area, and who can blame them? The thing is, we're not done yet for this year, and quite possibly there will be a couple more storms forming before the end of hurricane season, which is actually December 1st. So why the hurricane talk? Well, if you're a caregiver or part of a family that includes someone who suffers Alzheimer's or any form of dementia, we are going to talk about hurricane preparation and safety, specifically with the brain change person in mind. Now, before we start, what are the 3 rules here at GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers? Come on now, you know them. 1, you have to take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? 2, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends and relatives. And number 3, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need. And then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the list, start at the top, and keep going till you get what you need done. You'll find it very helpful. Okay, when planning for a hurricane with someone who has Alzheimer's or dementia, you can consider the following, and these are kind of like subtitles. Make a plan. Prepare a kit. Consider a special needs shelter. Practice evacuation and communicate. Also, call the Alzheimer's Association. Educate first responders. And just use some common sense. Sometimes we don't have that much. Now, emergency situations such as hurricanes can significantly impact safety, especially for individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia, who may find them very distressing and confusing. Being prepared is crucial. However, if you find yourself in extreme weather or a natural disaster, there are still actions you can take to keep you and the person living with dementia as safe as possible. And how do you do that? Well, be prepared. Check weather conditions regularly before leaving the house and adjust plans as needed. For example, if a storm is predicted, consider rescheduling appointments that are not urgent. Common sense. If the person with dementia lives in a residential building or attends an adult day center, learn about its disaster and evacuation plans. Find out who is responsible for evacuating everyone in the event of an emergency. Be sure the evacuation plan takes special needs into consideration. For example, if the person living with dementia uses a walker or wheelchair, how will accommodations be made? Provide copies of the person's medical history, a list of medications, doctor information, and family contacts to people other than the primary caregiver. Prepare an emergency supply kit, and we'll go into that in detail in just a bit. If oxygen is used, be sure there is an easy access to portable tanks. Purchase extra medication. Keep other supplies well stocked. And if you have pets, make a plan that includes them, such as care arrangements in the event you're not at home at the time of the emergency. Now, this is really important. This is how do you create an emergency supply kit? Consider preparing an emergency supply kit in a watertight container and store it in an easy, accessible location. Be sure to account for your needs, like prescriptions, important documents, extra cell phone charges, as well as the needs of the person living with dementia. Use waterproof bags to protect medications and paperwork, and if possible, store a backup of important documents in a secure electronic file. Items you may wish to include are a couple of easy-to-change outfits appropriate for weather conditions, medical documents, and supplies of medication. And carry a list of the medications with dosages. Velcro shoes and sneakers. Easy to get on, easy to get off. A cell phone charger and or an external power bank. A spare pair of eyeglasses if needed. Incontinence products if needed. Extra identification items such as an ID bracelet and clothing tags. Copies of legal documents such as a power of attorney. Copies of insurance and social security cards. Doctor's name, address, and phone numbers, including cell phone. A recent picture of the person living with dementia. Stuff like hand lotion or other comfort items. Bottled water is important. Non-perishable food, including some liquid meals. A favorite item like a book, picture, purse of the person living with dementia. Also write this one down. Phone number for the Alzheimer's Association, which is 800-272-3900. And ensure you have access to the phone number of a wandering response service if you are enrolled. Very important.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and I remember we were all in the hospital room, and for like 10 seconds she recognized who we were, and then it was gone. So it's like a thief. It's taking away memories and who you are as a person. Over 5.5 million Americans have Alzheimer's. That number may double by 2050. For more information, visit rightfocus.org.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
All right, here's some more. If you know a disaster is about to occur, move to a safe place. If the need to evacuate is likely, do not delay. Leave as early as possible to minimize long delays in traffic. Alert others, such as family, friends, and medical personnel, that you are changing locations. Give them your contact information. Update them regularly as you move. Now, if you are unprepared for a disaster, remain calm and focus on your immediate safety and the safety of the person living with dementia. If evacuation is necessary, grab the charger for your cell phone before leaving home. Take stock of the other resources you can gather quickly, such as bottled water, medication, and weather-appropriate clothing. If you need immediate assistance for an emergency situation, dial 911. Now, during an evacuation, a person living with dementia changes in routine traveling in new environments may increase the risk for wandering and agitation. Stay alert for unexpected reactions that may result from these changes. And when appropriate, share the person's diagnosis with others, such as hotel or shelter staff, family members, and airline attendants, so they can better assist. Try to stay together or with a group. It only takes a moment to get lost, and do not leave the person living with dementia alone. And most of all, do your best to remain calm, as this may help reduce anxiety or confusion. When you need to consider a special needs shelter, some areas have special needs shelters for people who can't function in a regular emergency shelter. Each county probably has their own set of rules. Practice your evacuation plan with family and neighbors. Learn how to safely leave your home, including turning off utilities. Communicate your plans with friends and family and neighbors, and check in with them once you're safe. The Alzheimer's Association has a 24/7 helpline for caregivers that offers personalized guidance and support. Provide first responders with dementia education so they can work effectively with people who have dementia if you need them. Here's a little bit more information about wandering. Wandering can be extremely dangerous. It's estimated that 60% of people with dementia will wander and become lost at some point, and many do so repeatedly. Now, if not found within 24 hours, up to half of wandering individuals will suffer serious injury or death. Monitor closely for agitation or restlessness, especially during sundowning periods. Now, if a person living with dementia does wander and gets lost, begin your search immediately. Start by searching the immediate vicinity, including less traveled areas in your home. Outside of home, search the yard and nearby surroundings. Most wanderers are found within a half mile of their homes or starting location. And if, after 15 minutes, the person is not located, call 911 to file a missing persons report. Ensure a swift response by alerting the police that the individual has Alzheimer's disease and is a vulnerable adult. Now, many states have implemented silver alerts, which can be used to inform law enforcement agencies, media outlets, and the public about missing older adults, especially those living with dementia.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Are you the caregiver for someone living with dementia? You're not alone.
I was a caregiver for my wife for 10 years, and it was a lot of work.
I'm a caretaker for my wife who has Alzheimer's.
I'm a caregiver of my husband that has CTE, and it's incredibly challenging.
The Dubin Center in Fort Myers has been offering free educational classes and support since 1995.
The Dubin Center has helped me exponentially with so many questions answered. It's just been great.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Going to remind you, the 2024 Walk to End Alzheimer's is coming up soon. Some in late October and many in November. Sun City Center, October 19th. Sarasota, Florida, November 2nd. Naples, Florida, November 9th. Boca Raton, Florida, November 10th. November 16th in Fort Myers, Florida. No matter where you live, in any state, you can find the walk nearest you by going to alz.org. Just put in your zip code and find the one for you. There is a Spanish tab there also, if that's what you need. Or you can call 800-272-3900. I'm not sure if you can hear in the background. Every so often you can hear the wind whistling through my windows. We have tropical force winds right now. We're pretty fortunate that we don't have the brunt of the storm like we did a couple of years back. But still, it's kind of scary sometimes, especially for older adults that have Alzheimer's or dementia. They really get confused. I've experienced that in circumstances in the past with a couple other hurricanes that they just shut down. So you do have to be careful. Well, today, this episode is shorter than usual, but we hope we've given you some good tips on how to prepare and protect you and your loved one, especially if you find yourself in the path of a destructive hurricane. If you know someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, that you would let them know about this podcast. For more information and resources, you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at https://alzsupport, that's ALZSUPPORT.org/about-us. Very helpful. I was there a couple times this week. To find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources/find your local chapter. And the Dubin Center is dubincenter.com. Pretty easy and pretty helpful. Now, if you haven't already, we ask that you check out our new website. Tell us what you think. Let us know where you listen to the podcast and what state you live in. We would really appreciate that. We've heard from people in Alaska, Tennessee, Connecticut, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. The website is gutpunched.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com, or Jeff. That's JEFF @gutpunched.com, and that's a new additional email address. If you own a business or would like to be part of our website or podcast, let us know. A shout out to Rick Peterson, Ora Santana, Gentry Thomas, Dan Moser, Sheila Book, the Dubin Center, and my wife for the tremendous help and support in making this podcast possible. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again for more. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or you want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. Or you can visit our website at gutpunched.com.